The cargo ship Aurora moved slowly through the dark stretch of space. Its engines hummed softly while the crew performed their usual routine. The ship was small compared to the great freighters of the fleet, but it was reliable and strong. Its crew had traveled together for many months and had learned to trust one another. Inside the control room, Mira sat at the front console. She was the ship's main navigator and often the first to notice changes in their surroundings. Her eyes scanned the panels and lights, and she kept her hands near the controls. Across from her sat Tomas, the pilot, who leaned back in his chair with quiet confidence. Behind them, near the cum station, worked Aaron, the youngest member of the crew, who often handled signals and communications. The routine of the journey was calm until a sudden sound filled the cum station. It was a faint signal, almost broken by static. Aaron straightened, pressing his ear closer to the receiver. He adjusted the frequency carefully, and slowly the voice became clear. The voice was soft, almost whispering, but filled with deep emotion. It said, "My children haven't eaten in days. Feed them, and I'll belong to you forever." The crew exchanged looks. The words were strange, but the tone of the voice was even stranger. It was not aggressive, not mechanical, not a demand. It was a plea. Mira frowned and leaned closer. "Play it again," she said. Aaron replayed the message. Once more, the quiet voice repeated the same sentence, fading in and out with static. Tomas shook his head slowly. Could be a trick. Could be pirates setting a trap. "You answer, and they'll follow the signal to take our ship." Mira nodded, but kept her eyes on the data. "Maybe, but this voice doesn't sound like someone pretending. It sounds real, like someone desperate." Aaron looked at them both, his young face tense. Should we ignore it? Or should we at least trace where it's coming from? The captain of the ship, Jonas, stepped into the room then. He had been resting, but the unusual sound had caught his attention. He listened quietly as Aaron explained the signal. Jonas was older than the others, and his calm presence often brought balance when the crew disagreed. "Can you trace it?" Jonas asked Aaron. Aaron nodded quickly. "Yes, Captain. The signal is weak, but I can follow it. It seems to come from a system not far from our current route. If we divert, it would take us 1 or 2 days to reach it." Jonas folded his arms. He looked out through the wide window of the control room at the endless field of stars. The silence of space always carried weight in such moments. A voice asking for help, he said slowly. "We cannot know if it's danger or truth. But if it is truth, then to turn away would be to let children starve." Tomas frowned. "Captain, with respect, our supplies are already counted carefully. If we give away too much, we risk ourselves. And what if this is not real?" Jonas looked at him steadily. "If it is not real, then we waste little but time. If it is real, then we save lives. I will not let fear of pirates stop us from being human." There was silence in the room. Finally, Mira gave a small nod. "Then we go." Aaron's hands flew over the console as he plotted the new course. The Aurora changed its direction gently, its engines adjusting to the new path. The crew prepared themselves for the journey, feeling a quiet unease, yet also a sense of purpose. The days passed slowly as they moved toward the unknown signal. During the long hours, the crew spoke often about the message. "What do you think it means?" Aaron asked one evening while they shared a meal in the small dining room. "Who says something like, 'Feed them, and I'll belong to you forever'? It doesn't sound like any normal distress call." Mira tapped her spoon lightly against her bowl as she thought. It could be a translation error. Maybe the words are not exact. Maybe they mean something different in their language. Tomas shrugged. Or maybe it is exact, and whoever sent it is ready to trade themselves for food. It could be cultural. Some societies value honor through service. Jonas, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. "We cannot know yet, but the words carry sorrow. It is not a demand. It is not a trickster's boast. It is a cry from someone who fears for their children." The crew fell silent again, each picturing children waiting in hunger somewhere far ahead. The thought made their own meal feel heavier, as though guilt pressed against each bite. When the ship finally reached the edge of the system, the sensors lit up with new data. The world where the signal came from appeared on the screens. It was a small planet, dimly lit by a weak sun. From orbit, it looked gray and cold, with large fields of strange crystal-like growths that shimmered faintly, even without much light. Aaron reported the findings. The signal is definitely coming from the surface. It is strongest near a large structure underground. Life signs are weak. Not many, but a few clusters. Jonas nodded. We land. The Aurora descended carefully through the thin atmosphere. As the planet's surface came closer, the crew could see the crystal forests more clearly. The tall formations sparkled like frozen glass, reaching upward like silent towers. The land between them was barren and empty, with no rivers or green fields. It was a quiet and lonely place. They set the ship down near an opening in the ground. It seemed to lead into the underground structure. The signal was strongest here. The crew gathered their equipment, carrying basic supplies, food packs, and translation devices. Jonas stood at the ramp before they left the ship. He looked at his crew, each face showing a mix of nerves and determination. Remember, he said, we do not know what waits for us below. But if there are children in need, we will not fail them. We are human. We must not forget what that means. With that, they stepped into the strange world. The ground crunched lightly beneath their boots as they walked toward the entrance. The air was thin and cold, but still breathable. The crystals glowed faintly around them, casting a dim light that guided their steps. At the entrance of the underground passage, Aaron checked the scanner again. The life signs are below us. It's very weak. We must hurry. They entered the passage. The walls were smooth and seemed shaped by intelligent hands, not by nature. Strange symbols covered the stone, glowing faintly as if powered by hidden energy. As they moved deeper, the faint sound of the signal still echoed in their ears, repeating the same words. My children haven't eaten in days. Feed them, and I'll belong to you forever. The voice seemed almost alive in the tunnels, as though the walls themselves whispered the plea. The crew pressed on, their hearts heavy with the weight of the unknown. They did not yet see the children, nor the one who had sent the message, but they could feel it. Somewhere ahead, lives waited for them. Lives that trusted the signal, be heard, and the Aurora's crew had answered. This was the beginning of something greater than any of them could yet understand. The tunnel stretched deep beneath the ground, and the crew of the Aurora moved carefully through the dim passage. Their lamps shone against the stone walls, but they soon realized that they were not needed. The walls themselves gave off a soft glow. Strange lines ran across the surface, glowing like rivers of faint light. The symbols on the walls looked old, yet alive, as if they still remembered the people who had carved them long ago. Mira placed her hand on the wall as they walked. The glow shifted slightly under her touch, pulsing like a heartbeat. She pulled her hand back in surprise. This place is not dead, she whispered. Jonas looked ahead, his face calm but alert. Then we move forward with respect. This world is not abandoned. It is waiting. The air grew colder as they descended, but the light from the walls guided them. After a long walk, they reached a vast chamber. It was larger than any hall they had ever seen, stretching upward into darkness. Crystalline pillars rose high, catching the faint glow and scattering it into a gentle light that filled the room. In the center of the chamber lay rows of small shapes, curled close to one another. At first the crew thought they were statues, but when Aaron scanned them, his device beeped faintly. Life signs, he whispered. Weak, but alive. The crew stepped closer, and the truth revealed itself. The shapes were children, though not human. Their bodies were small, covered with soft pale skin that reflected the light. Their eyes were closed, and their breaths were shallow. Some had thin crystal-like growths along their arms, as if the planet itself had shaped them. The sight struck the humans with silence. Dozens of these young beings lay together, resting, waiting. Mira knelt beside one and looked at its face. Though alien, it was peaceful, like the face of any child in sleep. Her voice trembled slightly. These must be the children from the message. Aaron looked around the chamber, eyes wide. But where is the one who spoke? Where is their parent or guardian? Jonas stood in the center of the hall, looking slowly around. His voice was low. We will find them. But first, we must understand what we see here. The crew spread out. Tomas examined the crystalline pillars, trying to see if they provided warmth or energy. Mira studied the strange symbols etched on the floor. Aaron scanned the chamber again, focusing on the faint signals of life. The children did not stir. They seemed caught between sleep and silence, their bodies weak but not gone. The message made sense now. They had not eaten. They were surviving, but only barely. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the chamber. The crew froze. The hum came from deeper in the structure. Beyond another archway at the far side of the hall, Jonas raised his hand and motioned the crew forward. They passed quietly between the rows of children, careful not to disturb them, and entered the archway. The passage beyond led to a smaller chamber, glowing brighter than the first. In the center stood a figure unlike the children. It was taller, with long arms and a body that shimmered faintly in the glow. Its eyes were closed, and its chest rose and fell with effort. Around it, lines of light pulsed outward across the floor. It's like streams flowing from a source. The crew stopped at the edge of the chamber. The figure opened its eyes slowly. They glowed faintly, catching the light of the room. When it spoke, the voice matched the one from the signal, though now it was clearer and fuller. "You came," it said softly. "I feared the stars would ignore me." Jonas stepped forward, his tone steady and respectful. "We heard your call. You spoke of children in need. We saw them. They are weak." The figure lowered its head. "Yes, they hunger. Their food was lost when the surface was broken. I have given them all I could, but I am fading. Soon, I will no longer be able to keep them alive." Aaron stepped closer, curiosity in his voice. "Are you their parent?" The figure turned its glowing eyes toward him. "I am their caretaker, the last of the guardians. It was my duty to protect them when our home was struck. I kept them safe here, but I cannot feed them. My power is not enough." "Then it was you who sent the message," the voice we heard. The caretaker gave a slow nod. "Yes, I sent it again and again, hoping someone would answer. Many cycles passed, but no one came. I feared no one would ever come." Tomas, always cautious, looked around the chamber. "If you cannot feed them, then why say you will belong to us forever? What did you mean?" The caretaker's voice was calm, but heavy with meaning. "In my people's ways, a life saved creates a bond that cannot be broken. If you feed my children, I will give myself to you. Not as a servant, but as one who belongs, who shares all knowledge, all strength. I will not leave you." The crew exchanged glances. The promise was powerful, but none of them thought first of reward. Their minds were filled with the image of the starving children. Jonas spoke carefully. "We are not here to claim you. We are here because you asked for help. If we can, we will help." The caretaker's eyes glowed brighter. "You would give without asking in return." "Yes," Jonas said simply. "That is what it means to be human." The caretaker's form shimmered faintly as though touched by emotion. "Then I was right to hope." The crew spent hours exploring the underground halls. They discovered storage chambers, many of them empty. They found broken devices that once produced food, but now lay silent. The caretaker showed them the places where its people had lived before disaster forced them underground, everywhere they went. The crew saw signs of loss. Empty rooms, broken tools, and dust that had gathered over years of waiting. Yet in the center of it all remained the children. Silent, but alive, a symbol of hope that had not faded. Later, when the crew returned to the Aurora to rest and plan, they sat around the table with tired but thoughtful faces. Aaron broke the silence first. "We cannot just leave them, but our food is limited. If we give too much, we may not make it home." Mira nodded slowly. "But if we give nothing, those children will not survive. We must find a way to stretch what we have." Tomas tapped his hand on the table. "And what if this is not enough? There are many, and we are few. Even if we give all we can spare, will it save them?" Jonas listened to each voice, then leaned forward. His tone was firm. We will not turn away. Our supplies can be shared, yes, but more than that, we must think of how to create food here. Machines can be repaired. Systems can be rebuilt. If their people once made food in this place, then so can we. Humans have always survived by building, by finding a way. The others grew quiet, considering his words. Finally, Mira smiled faintly. Then that is what we do. We will feed them not only from our ship, but from their own world. We will help them live again. Aaron's young face brightened with hope. Then they will not be hungry anymore. Jonas nodded firmly. No, they will not. That night, as the ship rested on the silent planet, the caretaker watched over its children in the underground hall. It knew the humans had spoken with honesty. For the first time in many cycles, it allowed itself to believe in tomorrow. The plea it had sent across the stars had been answered. The children would not be alone, and neither would the caretaker. The next morning, the Aurora's crew returned to the underground world with renewed determination. The caretaker had shown them the broken machines, and now it was time to bring the first promise of life to the children. Each crew member carried carefully measured portions of food from the ship, along with tools to repair the machines. The air in the chamber was still, filled with the faint glow of crystals and the soft breathing of the young ones. Jonas gathered his crew in the center of the hall. Today, we do more than feed. We begin to restore. He looked at each of them, eyes bright with purpose. We work together. We repair what we can. We feed as many as we can. And we learn from the caretaker. Every step is important.
Myra nodded, stepped forward.
I will start with the machines. If we can make even one of them produce nourishment, the rest will follow. Aaron carefully approached the children, observing how fragile they were. We must be gentle. Every little movement matters. Tomas went with him, carrying small containers of synthetic food. We feed slowly. Nothing rushed. Their bodies are weak, but we can help them recover. The caretaker watched them silently, its faint light pulsing with each movement. It did not interfere, but guided with soft words. The energy in this place is alive. Treat it with care. Feed the children slowly, and speak to the machines as if they were living beings. Mira knelt before the largest machine, brushing dust and broken crystal fragments from the control panels. She marveled at the design. It was unlike any human system, yet she could see patterns, logical sequences that could be repaired. She shared her thoughts with Tomas. If we link our ship's power converters to the machine, we can stabilize the flow. Then, with a little guidance, it may produce food again. Tomas nodded. We will need the caretaker to help synchronize the energy. I cannot control it alone. The caretaker moved closer, extending a slender hand toward the machine. Its glow touched the panels, and the machine hummed faintly in response. It was as if the machine recognized its guide. Mira carefully connected the converters, and sparks of light began to flow through the circuits. The machine vibrated softly, a gentle pulse that echoed through the chamber. Meanwhile, Aaron approached the children. He carefully offered the first portion of food to a small one, whose eyes blinked open weakly. The child sniffed the offering and then nibbled slowly, its body trembling with the effort. One by one, Aaron and Tomas helped the children eat. The caretaker sang softly, its low song vibrating through the room, filling the chamber with warmth and calm. The combination of food and song worked together. The children's breathing became stronger, their bodies shifting from fragile to more steady with each passing hour. Mira's hands worked quickly on the machine. Following the caretaker's guidance, lines of light ran through the circuits. The machine slowly produced small containers of nourishment, shimmering with gentle energy. The first container was carefully carried to the children, who took it with weak hands. Their eyes brightened, their faces softening with relief and comfort. Jonas walked among the children, observing them closely. Each child must be fed according to strength, he reminded the crew. We cannot rush, but we must act steadily. The caretaker's eyes glowed brighter as it watched. You understand our ways more quickly than I expected. Energy flows through life, and your patience allows it to reach the children fully. You are learning not only the machines, but the spirit of this place. Hours passed, and the crew worked tirelessly. The machines began producing more food, the containers glowing softly with a nourishing energy. The children ate steadily, some rising to sit or stand, their movements becoming more confident. The chamber, once quiet with weakness, now hummed with the energy of renewed life. Aaron knelt beside a small child who looked at him with curious eyes. "You are safe now," he whispered. "We will not leave you hungry again." The child's small hand reached for his, and Aaron smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond words. Mira stepped back from the largest machine. "It is stable now. If we continue feeding and monitoring it, it should sustain the children for the coming cycles." Tomas observed the pattern of the glowing energy lines. The machine recognizes harmony. If the caretaker remains near, its guidance strengthens the system. We can assist, but the caretaker must stay present. The caretaker nodded slowly. Yes, the machines respond to the energy of life, not just mechanical input. You have learned this quickly, humans. Your care is steady and true. Jonas gathered the crew for a brief moment. We will continue this process. Each cycle we repair and feed. Each child gains strength. Each machine recovers a little more. By tomorrow, more children will rise. The caretaker smiled faintly, a soft glow illuminating its face. You bring hope where none remained. The children feel your presence, and they respond. I have waited long for hands such as yours. As evening approached, the chamber had changed. What was once a room of weakness and silence now held energy, gentle but alive. Children moved carefully among the adults, some beginning to play softly with one another. Their laughter, though quiet, echoed like music in the crystal hall. Mira watched them with satisfaction. We did it, she whispered to Jonas. We helped them survive. And more than that, we restored part of this world. Jonas placed a hand on her shoulder. This is only the beginning. Tomorrow, we will do the same. And the day after, until all the children are strong and the machines fully restored. Aaron looked at the caretaker. You said you would belong to us forever, but we do not need that. We only need to see the children safe. The caretaker's eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the gentle light of the chamber. Your understanding surpasses words. My bond will be yours, not by demand, but by gratitude and trust. And yet the children will remain my first concern. I will share knowledge, but my heart is with them. The crew rested briefly that night, feeling the warmth of accomplishment. They had fed the children, repaired part of the machinery, and learned the first secrets of this underground world. But they knew there was more work ahead. The machines were still fragile, and many children required careful feeding and attention. When they returned to the chamber the following morning, the caretaker greeted them with a soft hum. The children slept well. Their bodies regained strength, and the machines preserved what energy remained. You will see that your work grows more effective with each cycle. Mira examined the machines, noting the improvement. If we continue like this, they will not only survive, but thrive. We can stabilize their systems permanently with the combined technology of ship and planet. Tomas nodded, and the children will continue to recover. Each step makes the next easier. Aaron smiled as he approached a child who now stood on wobbly legs. Look, you can stand. The child giggled softly and reached toward him. And Aaron felt a quiet joy that lifted the spirit of the whole crew. Jonas observed quietly. Our goal is not just to feed them today, but to give them a future. A future where hunger is no longer a threat. We do not take pride in our actions. We take pride in their safety and growth. The caretaker standing nearby whispered softly, You are wise beyond your kind. You see that life is not for control, but for nurturing. And now, these children will know hope because of you. The day continued with careful work. Food was prepared, children fed, and the machines monitored. The crew learned more from the caretaker, and in return, they shared their knowledge of human technology and problem solving. Slowly, a new system was forming, one that combined the strength of both worlds. System capable of sustaining life and growth. By the time evening fell again, the chamber was bright with energy. Children played more freely, laughing and exploring their surroundings. The machines hummed steadily, producing nourishment for those who still needed it. The caretaker stood among them, its light steady and calm, presence of guidance and trust. Jonas gathered his crew for a moment of reflection. What we have done is more than repair or feeding. We have built trust. We have restored hope. Tomorrow we will continue. But today, we remember that our choices matter. Every act of care shapes the future. The crew nodded, hearts full of purpose. They knew the work was far from over, but they had begun something extraordinary, a bond of life and hope. And the first step toward a future where the children of this strange world would grow strong and safe. And in the glow of the chamber, surrounded by the hum of machines and the quiet laughter of children, the caretaker's promise was no longer about belonging alone. It was about trust, gratitude, and the power of compassion that could cross the stars. The next day began with quiet work. The Aurora's crew rose early, each one ready to face the challenge before them. They knew the children below still waited, and their time was short. Hunger had left the little ones fragile, and though they lived, every hour without food brought them closer to weakness, too deep to heal. Jonas gathered his crew in the control room before they returned underground. "We cannot solve this with supplies alone," he said firmly. "Our food will run out long before the children's needs are met. If we are to keep them alive, we must find a lasting way." Mira leaned on the console, her brow furrowed. The caretaker mentioned broken machines. Perhaps they were once food creators. If we repair them, they could feed the children again. Aaron's eyes lit with hope. "Yes, if we combine their technology with ours, maybe we can make something new." Tomas, though cautious as always, gave a nod. "It is the only chance we have, but we will need the caretaker's help." "We do not understand this world as they do," Jonas agreed. "Then today we will ask, and we will listen." The crew made their way once more into the underground halls. The crystalline glow guided them, and soon they entered the great chamber where the caretaker waited. The tall being stood near the rows of children, its faint light pulsing slowly as if tied to its own strength. It turned its glowing eyes toward them as they approached. "You returned," it said softly. "I feared you might leave as others once did." Jonas stepped forward, his voice steady. "We gave our word. We are here to help. But we must also ask your guidance. We cannot feed the children with our supplies alone. Show us how your people once gave them food. Perhaps we can restore what was lost." The caretaker studied them for a long moment. Then, with a graceful motion, it raised its arm and pointed toward another passage. "Come, I will show you." They followed through twisting tunnels until they reached a chamber filled with silent machines. The walls were lined with great cylinders, and in the center stood a device shaped like a tree of metal, its branches broken, its roots cracked. Mira walked forward and examined the nearest cylinder. This must have been a kind of food generator. "It looks like it once processed energy into something living." The caretaker nodded. "Long ago, our world's surface fed us. When it was broken, we turned to these. They gave us food from the planet's energy. But when the surface fell silent, so too did these machines. I have tried to keep them alive, but they are beyond my strength." Aaron crouched beside the broken tree-like device, his hands brushing over the smooth surface. "It feels warm, like it still holds power." The caretaker lowered its head. "Yes, faint power remains, but not enough to create food for many, only for one. And I gave it all to the children, never to myself." The truth of the words weighed on the crew. They realized the caretaker had sacrificed its own strength for the little ones. That explained its fragile form, its faint glow. Jonas spoke gently. "Then let us help. Show us how to join your ways with ours. Together, we can bring life back to these machines." The caretaker's eyes brightened slightly. "You would do this, even though you do not know us?" "Yes," Jonas said firmly, "because life is precious. Yours and the children's. That is enough." The caretaker's voice softened. "Then hear my bargain. Feed them, and I will belong to you forever. Not as one who is forced, but as one who chooses. I will share all knowledge of my people, all secrets we once kept." You will not walk alone in the stars. Mira exchanged a quick glance with Jonas, then asked carefully, why make such a promise? Why give so much for food? The caretaker's glow dimmed as though weighed down by memory. Because our people lived by bonds. A gift was never forgotten. A life saved was bound forever to the one who saved it. We believed that trust is greater than power. If you save these children, then I will be bound to you as our ways demand. Aaron's young voice broke the silence. And if we cannot, if we fail, the caretaker lowered its head. Then my children will fade, and I with them, and the stars will forget us. The chamber fell quiet. The humans felt the weight of the choice before them. Yet none wished to turn away. Jonas stepped closer. We accept your bargain, but not for your knowledge or your bond. We accept it because it is right. We will not let your children fade. The caretaker looked at him with shining eyes. For the first time, its glow grew brighter, filling the chamber with a soft radiance. Then let us begin. The crew worked with the caretaker for many hours. Tomas studied the broken machines, learning their shapes and patterns. Mira compared their systems to human technology, sketching new designs in her notebook. Aaron carefully recorded every word the caretaker shared, building a guide they could use again and again. The caretaker, though weak, guided them with patience. It explained how the machines once drew energy from the crystals above, changing light into nourishment. It showed them symbols that represented balance, growth, and harmony. It told stories of its people, how they once sang to the machines to keep them alive, as though song itself was energy. At first, the humans struggled to understand. The machines were unlike anything they had seen. But slowly, with each question and answer, the gap between species grew smaller. Ideas began to form. We can connect our ship's converters to their energy lines, Myra suggested. It will not be perfect, but it may be enough to power the machines again. Tomas nodded. If we stabilize the flow, it might work. The systems are fragile, but they still breathe faintly, Aaron added with excitement. And we can teach them how to repair these for the future. That way, they will not need us forever. The caretaker listened to their ideas with quiet awe. You think not only of this moment, but of tomorrow. That is wisdom my people once held dear. You carry it still. When the day ended, the crew returned to the Aurora to rest. Their bodies were tired, but their minds burned with ideas. That evening, as they shared a meal, the crew spoke again of the caretaker's bargain. Aaron looked thoughtful. It said it would belong to us forever. But do we really want that? Do we want someone bound to us because of a gift? Mira shook her head. We do not need them to belong to us. What matters is that the children live. If the caretaker chooses to share knowledge, then it is their choice, not our demand. Tomas leaned back, arms crossed. Still, their knowledge could change everything. Energy systems beyond ours, food machines that never fail, such things could help many worlds. Jonas listened, then spoke firmly. Yes, their knowledge may be great, but it is not a prize to claim. It is trust. And trust must be respected. We will not take more than they choose to give. The crew nodded, each understanding. They were not saviors seeking reward, but travelers answering a cry. Meanwhile, in the underground chamber, the caretaker sat quietly among the children. It sang a low song, one its people had sung for generations. Its voice was weak, but as it sang, the children stirred slightly, their breaths a little stronger. The caretaker's eyes glowed faintly with hope. The humans had promised to help, and unlike the empty stars, they had answered. For the first time in many cycles, the caretaker allowed itself to dream of a future where its children would eat, where laughter would once more echo in the halls, where bonds would cross the space between worlds. And it knew that its bargain was true. For if these humans fed its children, then its heart would belong to them forever. The underground chamber glowed with a gentle, steady light as the Aurora's crew returned for the first time in many cycles without immediate urgency. The children were no longer weak and fragile. They moved with strength and confidence, their eyes bright and curious. Some explored the crystalline halls, others gathered near the restored machines, Learning to use them under the careful guidance of the caretaker, Jonas stood at the center of the hall, watching the transformation. "Look at them," he said quietly. "This is what our work was meant to do. They are not just surviving, they are learning, growing." Mira knelt beside a small group of children who were examining a glowing machine. "They understand more than I expected," she whispered. "It is as if they have always known these systems, but only now can fully use them." Aaron laughed softly as a child reached for his hand, guiding him to show how the machine produced food. "They teach us as much as we teach them," he said. The caretaker observed all of this with quiet pride, its glow steady and warm. For the first time in many cycles, it felt no fear for the children. They were strong, safe, and capable. Yet it also knew that its bond with the humans would remain, connection built on trust, care, and shared effort. Jonas approached the caretaker. "Your children are thriving. We have done what we came to do." The caretaker's eyes glowed softly. "You have done more than that. You brought hope to a place where it had almost been forgotten. You restored not only their strength, but the spirit of my people. And for that, my bond with you is true, unbroken, and everlasting."
Ow.
Mira smiled. "And we did it together. You guided us, taught us, and trusted us. That made all the difference." The caretaker lowered its head, acknowledging the truth in her words. "Trust is the foundation of life. You understand that, humans, and that is why this place now flourishes?" With the children now confident and the machines fully restored, the crew turned to the final task. They had promised the caretaker that they would not only feed the children, but also ensure the survival of this world's knowledge and energy systems. Mira and Tomas worked together to connect the remaining energy lines. Combining the Aurora's technology with the caretaker's designs, Aaron helped teach the children how to use the machine safely, showing them the connections between input and nourishment. Slowly, the systems came alive in a new way, sustainable, stable, and ready to function independently. The caretaker watched in wonder as its people's heritage merged with human innovation. "This is beyond what I imagined," it said softly. "You honor the past while creating a future. That is the truest gift I could receive." Jonas nodded. "It is what we do not take. We create, restore, and protect. That is our way, and it is why we answered your call." As the day ended, the chamber was filled with light, laughter, and gentle hums of machinery. The children played freely, exploring every corner, learning, and growing. Some of them even approached the caretaker, mimicking its song as they learned the rhythms of their world. The caretaker joined in the song, its voice steady and strong, filling the chamber with energy and life. The Aurora's crew listened in quiet awe, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. They had not only saved lives, but also restored hope, trust, and joy to a lost world. Aaron looked at the caretaker. "You said you would belong to us forever, but you have already shown that belonging is not ownership. It is friendship, trust, and partnership." The caretaker's glow brightened, reflecting gratitude and understanding. "Yes, and through this bond, your kind has shown that humanity's mark is not measured by power or conquest, but by care and wisdom. That is why I remain with you, not as a servant, but as an ally, a guide, and a friend." Mira smiled as she watched the children play, and now they have a future of their own. They will thrive, and your people's knowledge will live on through them. Jonas looked around the chamber one last time, his heart full. "We have done more than we came to do. We have left a mark not just here, but across the stars. This world, these children, and this caretaker will carry the memory of humans' compassion." The caretaker approached the crew, its eyes glowing with gentle light. "And you will carry the memory of us. You answered the call of those in need. You proved that life, in all its forms, is precious. That is a lesson not just for this world, but for all who will hear of it." As the Aurora prepared to leave the planet, the caretaker guided the crew to a chamber filled with crystals that reflected light into the sky. "These are the signals of our world," it explained. "They will shine brightly across the stars. Any who see them will know that life here endures and that your kindness made it possible." Aaron looked at the crystals in awe. It is like sending a message to the universe. A message of hope. Mira nodded. And proof that humans can create change, not through strength, but through care and wisdom. Jonas stood on the ramp of the Aurora, looking back at the underground chamber. Now, alive with light, energy, and laughter, we leave them strong, he said quietly. We leave them with hope. And in doing so, we have become part of their story, just as they have become part of ours. The caretaker hovered above the crystal chamber, its glow bright against the dim sky. Go with our blessing. You have shown what it means to be human at your best. And when your journeys bring you to the edges of the stars, remember this place. Remember that life is precious, and that care has power greater than fear. The crew of the Aurora boarded their ship. The engines hummed as they lifted from the surface, leaving behind a world renewed, a caretaker bonded in trust, and children thriving under the care of both their guide and the lessons the humans had taught as they rose above the crystal forests. The light from the chamber below shone like a beacon across the planet, reflecting in the atmosphere and casting a gentle glow into space. The message of hope traveled silently outward, carrying proof that compassion could create lasting change. Jonas looked at his crew, pride and quiet satisfaction in his eyes. We answered the call, he said softly. We did what humans do best, create and restore. Mira smiled, and the universe will remember. Not because we sought reward, but because we acted with purpose and heart. Aaron looked out the window at the fading glow below. I hope one day others hear this signal and know that helping others is always worth it. Tomas nodded. It is more than worth it. It is what defines us. The Aurora moved steadily through the stars, leaving behind a world of laughter, light, and life renewed. The caretaker and the children watched the ship depart, their hearts full of gratitude and hope. They would thrive, not only because of the food and machines restored, but because the humans had shown them the power of trust, compassion, and care, and across the galaxy. The signal of the crystal world shone, a lasting reminder that humanity's mark was not in conquest or fear, but in the ability to answer a call for help and make the universe a brighter, better place. The story of the caretaker, the children, and the Aurora's crew became one of those quiet legends, remembered not for battles fought or empires gained, but for lives saved, bonds formed, and hope restored. It was proof that when humans reach across the stars, they carry with them the greatest power of all, the ability to care. And in that, humanity truly belonged among the stars.